If aging were just about time, everyone would slow down at the same rate. They don't. Some people feel old at 40, others feel steady at 60. That difference isn't luck. It's chemistry changing quietly in the background. Most people believe aging is about time. You get older, your body wears down, things slow because that's what years do. That explanation sounds solid. It matches what we see. It matches what we're told. But there's a problem with it. People don't decline in a smooth, steady line. They feel fine for a long time. Then something changes. Not all at once, not dramatically, just enough to notice. Energy feels different. Recovery takes longer. Focus slips more easily. That's usually labeled as getting older. But that label skips over something important, because time itself doesn't slow your cells down. Chemistry does. If time alone caused decline, people would age at similar rates. They don't. Some people slow sharply in their late 30s. Others feel steady well into their 60s. That variation is usually brushed off. Genetics, lifestyle, luck. Those are vague answers. They don't explain how the change actually happens. And they don't explain something else people notice but rarely question. The shift doesn't feel like damage. It feels like dimming. Strength doesn't vanish. It becomes harder to access. Energy isn't gone. It's less available. People don't feel broken. They feel less responsive. That distinction matters, because damage feels sharp, chemical slowdown feels quiet, and most people experience the second one first. To understand what's actually happening, you have to step away from the calendar. The body doesn't measure age in years. It responds to signals. Every cell is constantly receiving instructions. Some say, build. Some say, repair. Some say, conserve. Some say, slow down. These instructions come from a small number of systems: metabolic signaling, hormonal timing, nervous system tone, mitochondrial output. They don't tell time. They regulate responsiveness. When those signals are strong and coordinated, the body feels capable. When they soften or lose timing, everything feels harder, not because parts are broken, but because fewer green lights are being given. One of the first shifts shows up in how the body handles energy. Earlier in life, energy signals are loud. Fuel moves easily into cells. Muscles respond quickly. The brain gets what it needs without friction. Over time, those signals soften. Not abruptly, gradually. The signal still exists. It just doesn't land the same way. The lived experience is subtle. You feel fed, but not fueled. Rested, but not restored. A normal day leaves you wiped instead of satisfied. Work still gets done, but it costs more than it used to. This isn't dramatic aging. It's chemistry losing urgency. Another early shift shows up in recovery. Earlier in life, stress triggers a strong rebound. You push, you rest, you recover. As signaling changes, that rebound weakens. The body still repairs. It just does so more cautiously. Soreness lingers. Fatigue clears less completely. A hard week stays in your system longer than it used to. People blame this on mileage, but wear alone doesn't explain delayed coordination. The system hasn't failed. The instructions have softened. Again, chemistry, not time. This is where most explanations stop. And stopping here leads to the wrong conclusion, because when people hear chemical changes, they assume something went wrong. Disease, abnormality, failure. What's actually happening is quieter than that. The body is conservative. As signals soften, it shifts toward preservation, not collapse. It doesn't shut systems down. It lowers their priority. That's why decline feels gradual. That's why it often goes unnoticed for years. The system is still functioning. It's just operating under different instructions. And those instructions often change long before anyone looks old, weak, or sick. Over time, this mismatch matters. People interpret slower chemistry as personal decline. They adjust expectations downward. They stop questioning subtle changes. Less energy feels normal. Slower recovery feels inevitable. Mental fog feels like just age, because nothing feels broken enough to investigate. The signals are quiet. The change is gradual, and the body compensates well until it doesn't. By the time something feels clearly wrong, the shift has been happening for years, not because warnings were ignored, but because they didn't feel like warnings. They felt like normal life. This also explains why people feel a gap between how old they are and how old they feel. Chronological age and chemical age don't always line up. Someone can be young by the calendar and chemically slowed, or older by years and still chemically responsive. Time doesn't decide that. Signals do. Wrinkles come later. Stiffness comes later. Fatigue shows up early, not as failure, as feedback. The calendar keeps moving, but the chemistry changes first, and most people never notice when it starts.